Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dream Designs by Dee. If you don't know if time has crept away from you just as fast as it's crept away from me, Mother's Day is just around the corner. And if you need a gift for mom, lickety split, we are going to make the perfect Mother's Day wreath today. It's a mini or a pixie wreath. It's gonna look fabulous on mom's door no matter where mom is. They work great in kitchens, houses, nursing, retirement homes, what have you. And they're a little bit smaller than a regular wreath because they're on a smaller frame. So it's great to mail because you don't have to pay as much in postage. And it's going to be a big wreath with, it'll still look full, but the diameter will be smaller. So I'm starting with this mesh right here. This mesh I bought at Joann's a while ago. It's a tri-colored mesh. We're going to ruffle it. Once you ruffle it, you really aren't going to get the green. Maybe just a peak. You'll get a pink and a white. Not that it matters so much, the green is okay too. I just want to use it up, and this is a great way to do it. So we're going to cut our mesh first at 30 inches. How is everyone doing? It is hot already where I live. Hot, hot, hot. It was 93 degrees yesterday, and it was swampy. But then my parents, they live back home in Colorado, and let me just tell you, it was they got several feet of snow on Saturday. So I hope the weather is fine where you are. Maybe not hot, but just fine. So we're going to cut 12 of these. This roll has ended. So I'm going to grab another one, finish cutting, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we've cut all of our mesh at 30 inches. Once again, it's just like this. It's very hard to see on camera, but it's got the green, the pink, and the cream color. And then I've already prepped our frame because I'm trying to cut down a little bit on my tutorial time just to make them a little bit more efficient to watch. So I have an 8-inch frame from the Dollar Tree here, and I've used pipe cleaners. Ideally I would have used white pipe cleaners, but I didn't have any, so I'm going with the cream color. By the time we add all the embellishments, you won't even be able to tell. And what I've done is I started on a crossbar or very close to one right here, and I just twisted the pipe cleaner around it. Then I took the pipe cleaner and I stood it up like this, and whichever end was the shortest right here, I took that and I took it over and I measured the distance from the first tie to where the shortest tie ended. Let me turn it around here so you can see. Right here. And that's where I put my next pipe cleaner. And I did that all the way around, and I have 7 ties on the bottom and 5 ties on the top. So I did the same thing on the top as well. I did 6 and 6. And you can do 7 and 5 if it matters to you what's next to each other. On this wreath, it's not going to matter so much to me because I'm only using 2 ribbons. If you like your ribbons to alternate, you'll need to do 7 and 5, because if you do 6 on the top and 6 on the bottom, you'll have 2 ribbons that are next to each other. Okay, so I'm going to use the ruffle method just because I think it's pretty, it's easy, and at Ruffles you have to cut your mesh a little bit longer for good coverage, and I had exactly 12 pieces of mesh left on 2 of these rolls, so I'm not gonna chance it. So when I ruffle, if it helps you, you can put something heavy here at the bottom, and that'll help hold it in place. I'm not going to do that because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. It might roll a little bit. That's okay. What you're going to do is you're going to take your mesh and you're going to fold it about 1 inch, okay? So you can see towards the back here where I've folded it up. And that's just to protect as much as you can against fraying. If you prefer to cut your mesh with a wood burner, you can certainly do that. I work in a pretty small space, and it's not really feasible to open the windows up here. So I don't do that because I don't want to breathe in any potentially harmful fumes. But if you have an open space where it's safe to cut, by all means you can do that, and it will definitely help with the fraying. But in lieu of that, when I ruffle, I fold my mesh over 1 inch, about 1 inch, 1/2 inch, whatever is good, just until you get an even fold. And then you're going to turn it over, press down on that fold to really get it nice and firm, and then you're just going to walk your hands right up the middle of the mesh. If it starts to slide over, you just want to pull it. Now, striped mesh is excellent for learning how to ruffle because you can just follow the sides of that green stripe right there and it'll take you right where you want to go. So once you're at the end, you have a little bit left, you're going to flip it over again, take that edge, fold it over one more time, and now you've protected that edge as well. You can even out your ruffle, get it nice and pretty. This is what you have, okay? Then you're gonna take your frame. Whew, the heat is making it hard to talk today. You're gonna stick that right in your frame tie, okay? And that is gonna help you hold that together. All right, then you're gonna push down with one finger, and once it's pushed all the way down, you're gonna pull that pipe cleaner tight and you're gonna twist it at least one good time, okay? You don't wanna do too many times because then when you put the ribbon in, it's gonna get bulky. Now, when you put your mesh on the frame, you have two choices, right? You can put your ruffles up and down, so the gap here is facing up and down, or you can put it to the side. I like the side because I find when I put the split up and down this way, that the ruffles tend to open on the bottom and it doesn't make the wreath doesn't look as pretty. So I like to move mine to the side. That gives you a little bit more room to adjust things. And now you've added your first ruffle and you're ready to go. So we're gonna do it again. If you guys would like me to continue to do the whole thing from start to finish, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, you know, there's a lot of wreath makers out there. Most of them have at least one full video, including myself, on ruffling and different methods with mesh. I've been hearing a lot of people are fast forwarding through that part of my video, which is totally fine. So if you need to see the whole thing, please let me know and I'll keep it. If you feel like an abbreviated tutorial where maybe some of the basics like ruffling or cutting the mesh you can already handle or skip, let me know and I'll keep doing some of the abbreviated ones as well. So you put that mesh right in there. We've ruffled it up, we've pushed down, and now we're going to twist again. So here again you have the ruffle up and down because that's the way you put it in, right? And you can see this gap. So if you put another ruffle on top, it gets kind of wonky even if you fix it. So I prefer to move it to the side because you can see now that they're going to sit up nice against each other there, and you're going to have fewer gaps, especially once you continue to add all the ruffles in. So I'm going to do one more on the bottom, just so you guys can see what it looks like when you have 3, and then I'll be halfway done on the bottom. I'll go ahead and do the top and I'll come back. Is everybody ready for Mother's Day? I blinked and it was May. I'm seeing Halloween designs already. I have a few as well. I'm not ready for full on Halloween yet. I just can't. I know I have to start soon because you don't want to get behind on seasons. They get really hard to sell if that happens to you. If you just make them for fun, obviously you can make them whenever you would like, but they get really hard to sell, especially online, once those seasons pass. However, I just can't yet, so I'm gonna have to wait on that. I'm also doing a few other projects around my house for my kids, what have you. If you guys want to see those too and not just wreaths, again, let me know. I'm happy to film those and put those out there. I've been away a lot lately. My kids have had a lot of things going on at school and other places. My husband just started a new job, so all the life things that you get when you're an adulting. Okay, so here you go. You've got 3 on there. You're getting a nice big fluffy wreath. Okay, so I'm gonna do the last 9 or so, and I'll be back to show you the results. All right, so I'm back. We have the whole wreath all done there. Got all our ruffles in, and once you get all of your pretty ruffles in, you're looking at what started as 8 inches coming out to 18. Okay, so don't worry, you'll get plenty of height and volume from it. So now when I fill in the ribbons, I'm only going to do 2, and then we're going to put some different colored ones in the bow as well. So I have this cream ribbon. This one is on a 50-yard roll. It's from Craft Outlet. And then I also have this beautiful pink peony ribbon. It too is on a roll from Craft Outlet, on a 50-yard roll. I'm sure you can buy it in smaller quantities. If you're interested in this ribbon, please message me in my Etsy shop and I can sell you some from my roll. I'm actually getting ready to do quite a de-stash because we are going to be moving soon, and there's a lot of ribbon that I'm just not going to take. So if you feel like you need some of this, let me know. I can do it in 5 or 10-yard increments for you. So I'm going to cut my ribbon at 12 inches today. I use mine, wow, so sorry. I cut mine with my Perfect Tails, 12 inches. And I'm gonna, since I'm gonna only cut 2 ribbons, I'm gonna cut, whew, I am a mess today, y'all. I'm just gonna cut, go ahead and cut 12 of each. The Perfect Tail is great because you can cut so many at one time. So you can see, let me do it again. You can see here, you just want to grab your Perfect Tail, your cardboard, whatever you're going to use. I just don't like cardboard because it bends, and I am not an accurate measurer by any means. So you're going to take that, hold it nice and firm up there, wrap the other piece around this end so you have it all laid out on your Perfect Tail, and then you're going to bring it up the back until you have your little Perfect Tail all wrapped with ribbon. Woo! And you're going to do that. I usually don't go more than 6, only because it gets bulky, and then once you have all that bulk on there, it's difficult to cut, and it can make your ribbon tails longer, shorter. And one of the keys, really, guys, to a good looking wreath is consistently cut ribbons. I used to cut my ribbons using my rubber mat here, my self-healing mat, and let me just tell you, so the wreaths that I made with the self-healing mat and the wreaths when I started cutting my ribbons like this are insane. The difference in just having consistently cut ribbon, once you take it off the tail, you're gonna just cut across here. You're gonna have to burn that one, and then you just pinch it at the top here, and you're gonna cut it again. The difference in having consistently sized ribbons is out of this world. Just, you're hardly gonna be able to believe it. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. And you don't have to use a perfect tail. Lots of makers now have these. They have a resin version. This one is wood. Mine is from Burlap Boutique. However, I've seen resin ones now. I've seen people have all sorts of versions now, and one may be better than the other. When I started, these are the ones that were available. A lot of people were using them, and they liked them, so I went ahead and ordered them. I really like mine, so much so that I ordered them in the mini sizes as well. And it really helps give you, especially on a smaller wreath. If you're going to be making wreaths that are a smaller size, you have a small door, you live in an apartment, a dorm, whatever, make sure your ribbons are the same length, because it will go a long way in making your wreath stand out. So now I'm going to use the cream ribbon. I'm going to do the same thing. This is a 1.5 inch ribbon. The Peony ribbon is a 2.5 inch ribbon. And then you're going to snip it off once you get to 6. Just pop it off there, keeping those creases nice and firm. Cut it in half, and there you've got 6. So then I need to do 6 more. Sorry about the weird voice. The pollen here, off the charts. And my husband says it's because everyone wants to send DC their native plants, and so anything you're allergic to you can find here, which is quite possibly true. But we have never had so many problems with allergies as we have here. Just insanity. But very soon the heat of summer will chase all of that away, so hopefully we can hang on until the end. Alright, so now we've got all of our ribbons cut, and now we're gonna, alright, now we're gonna dovetail the ends, okay? I've covered this before, but just in case you need a refresher, you're gonna fold your ribbon in half, and you're gonna cut upwards towards the wired edge, okay? Gives you a nice little dovetail, that V, nice and sharp. Do it the same on the other side, okay? There you go. And if you get a little fray in here, you can just burn it with a lighter. I just have the fan on, so I'm not going to do that. I don't need any out of control flames. Okay, so then the same thing. You have your ribbon, you're going to fold it in half, and you're going to cut up towards the wired edge, okay? Make sure you're always cutting up towards the wired edge. If you don't do that, you're going to end up with a reverse V and you're going to be sad. All right, here you go. There's two. Then you're going to take your ribbon, okay? On this one right here, you want to pay attention to the direction your pattern is going. Nothing will make a wreath look worse than wonky ribbon, where you have one ribbon that's going like this, and then the next ribbon is going like this, okay? So pay attention to your pattern, all right? Pansy, or not pansies, oh my goodness. Whatever those flowers are up. And here's your cream ribbon, okay? Fold it in half. Get a nice sharp crease, okay? Nice and sharp right there. All right? Take them. Put them together so they look like this, okay? Match the creases up right here. Then take your fingers and pinch them together slowly, all right? Once you have a nice good pinch in the middle, you need to take your fingers and run it under the wire, okay, to pop everything out. See, right? It's hard to see here, but see right here where you have this dent? That's a no-go. Use your fingers until you've popped that out and you've made your ribbon nice and pretty, okay? Take some time with it. It's important. It's gonna really help with the overall look of your ribbon later, okay? And then you're gonna get this, like, I don't know, ribbon U. Can everybody, okay? Once you have your ribbon U, or your ribbon rainbow, as my son calls it, you're gonna bring your wreath back, okay? Open up your pipe cleaner. Let me make sure mine are facing the right way. Open up your pipe cleaner right here. All right, everybody. And you're gonna put your pipe cleaner, you're gonna put your ribbon down into your pipe cleaner. Push it down as far as it will go, okay? All the way down. Take your pipe cleaner, tie it as tight as you can, and twist that a good 3 times, okay? Once you've done that, make sure you're gonna bring your ribbon back out. See how you have nice, you wanna make sure it's even, okay? Then you're gonna decide how you want to fluff it out. I like to do mine all towards the front, so I'm gonna pull it out towards the front. It's wired ribbon, guys. You can make it go where you want it to go, okay? And once it's out and it's laying how you want it, you can move on to the next one, all right? Once you have it that way, you're ready to go. Now, I would also want to point out that if it's your thing, you can do your ribbon in an X, where you'll pull these two apart, and then you'll pull the opposite apart on this side, and you'll pull it up. There's a lot of people that do it that way. It's totally personal preference. I prefer mine towards the front. I just think you can see it more, but if you like an X, go for it. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of the ribbon in, and I'll meet you guys back here. All right, so once you get your ribbon on, you're gonna have a nice full, see if I can back up here a little bit, a nice full wreath that looks just like this, okay? And now we're gonna get ready to put our pretty bow right in the center. So for this, I'm gonna use my Pro Bow, the hand. You can absolutely use whatever bow maker you prefer, but this one is my preference for this type of bow. I have quite a few bow makers. I love my Easy Bow Maker, but the Pro Bow is my go-to for center bows. I I'm going to make this one because I want it to be really big and impactful. I am going to put my pegs on D. I don't know if you can. Let me try this again. Right here. If you've never used a Pro Bow the hand, it comes with all of these pegs here, and you can select the hole. Each section is about a 1/2 inch smaller than the one before it. When I make these, I usually like to use C right here, but today I'm going to use D because I want it to be really big. So, when you use a Pro Bow the hand, if you've never used one before, the first thing you want to do is get yourself a paddle of floral wire. I like the green floral wire. This is 22 gauge floral wire. I think it's from Michael's. It's very cheap, maybe $2.99, maybe more. It's been a long time since I've bought it. Everything in the district is more expensive, so I don't know how much it is here, but I think the last time I bought it, it was $2.99. So you're going to take a piece the length of your Pro Bow board right here, snip it off, and fold it in half, okay? The wire is really hard to get it to show up on camera, so you're going to have to take my word for it. We're going to do the same thing here. You don't have to be precise in your measurements. I'm going to unroll the wire, and I'm going to put it just about as long as my board. A little longer maybe. I like to have extra wire. I don't like to be short on wire. Right here, you're going to bend it in half. Okay, so the thing that's different about the Pro Bow than other bow makers is that you're going to work front to back. On regular Pro Bow or on regular bow makers, you build your bow from the bottom up. On a Pro Bow the hand, you build it from the top down. Okay, so I like to start with my 1.5 inch ribbons. Okay, I'm going to start with the 1.5 inch cream. I have some Peony ribbon and some 2.5 inch cream that we're also going to use just to alternate and get a little bit more color going on there. Okay, so you're going to take your ribbon. I like mine to be, I like the tails of my bow to be the same size as the pegs. Okay, so I'm going to measure from this top peg right here down to this peg right here. This is called the boyfriend peg. You can see it. It says BF right down here. So I like to measure from peg 1L to the boyfriend peg, okay? Take your ribbon and pinch it. Then you're going to grab a piece of wire here. You're going to pinch it around where you've pinched your peg. And you're going to take it and you're going to turn it, okay? Once you get it around your ribbon like that, you're going to pinch it together so it's flat. Put it flush with your peg right here. And then you are going to wrap your wire around the peg, making sure that the front of your ribbon is facing the pegs. Okay? Then you're going to take your second piece of wire here. Again, it's hard to see, so you're going to have to follow my instructions. You're going to pull it down, and there's a nail in this square part of the board right here, okay? You are going to take your second strand of wire that's connected to your ribbon right here, and you're going to wrap it at least one good time, preferably more, around that nail. Then you are going to take the tail end of the ribbon and shove it under the board so that the board can help you hold that secure while you're making your bow. All right, now you're going to take your ribbon on the opposite end of where the tail is located. Just tuck the tail in the gap between the 1 and the 2 peg, okay? Take your ribbon, go around this top peg here, and pinch it back at the boyfriend peg. Okay? Now, you're going to turn your ribbon, pinch and twist, just like you would on a regular bow. You're going to go over the tail ribbon and around your peg again and come right back to the center. Now, this part is key, okay? Take your second wire, open it up, don't let go of the ribbon. Don't do it. Take your wire and shove it down through the center, and where your bend is, you're gonna, oh, I'm hooked on the tail. You're gonna go around the back of the peg. Make sure you have one over the top of the ribbon and one over the bottom of the ribbon, and you're going to put one around that wire that's on the nail and one around the top of the ribbon. Pull the ribbon tight, take the tails of the second wire, okay, pull one up, one down, and twist that as tight as you can one time. So now you're going to have one piece of wire that's up and one piece of wire that's down. Your wire is going to be around the back of this peg, under the wire that's holding the nail, and on top of the ribbon. Okay? I'm going to turn it around. Hopefully you'll be able to see. As I said, it's a little bit tricky. Okay, so you have this tail here, and it is on the top. Your wire has gone around the back of this peg here. One tail has gone over the top of the center of the ribbon, and the other tail has gone underneath this wire right here. You've pulled them to the center, pulled them as tight as you can, and given it one really good twist. And now you have one tail of wire that's up and one tail of wire that's down. Your other wire is around this nail right here, and it is tucked under the board to hold it secure while you make the bow. Okay? That is going to hold your bow together, leaving your hands free to twist and make your bow. Okay, it's essentially a third hand. It's pinching in the center the way you would normally pinch a bow or use your easy bow maker to pinch a bow. Okay, if you have a problem with your hands, I highly recommend this bow maker. I can have a problem with my hands, and I feel like this one really helps out with that. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to build your bow. I typically start with 4 loops in the center, especially if I am going to put something in the center, a flower, maybe a little ladybug, some greenery. I will start with 4 loops just because I like the way it looks. Okay, so then you want 4 loops of the same size, but you only have 2 pegs. So you take the loop off of the peg, okay, just set it in the center. Twist to make sure the pretty side of your ribbon is on the front, and you're going to go around one more time. Now it's up to you how many times you pinch or how many times you tie your wire. You're always going to have to pinch, right, and twist. But if you want to tie your wire after every pinch and twist, you can certainly do that. That gives, in my opinion, quite a bit of bulk. So I like to do it just once for every 2 loops, if that makes sense. So now I've done one more on each side. I'm coming back to the center. I'm going to pinch my ribbon. I'm going to twist it, and then I'm going to take those 2 wires that are one up and one down. I am going to grab them and pull as tight as I can and twist one up and one down. If you find that things are getting a little loosey-goosey, you can push with your thumb the ribbon and the wire flat against the peg here, and that will help flatten out your bow so you don't get too much bulk. Once you have your desired number of loops, you're going to come in here and snip the tail off. Again, as I said, I like to keep mine flush with the pegs. Gives me a little extra room to dovetail and get the look I'm going for. Okay, so I am finished with the 1.5 inch cream ribbon. Now I'm going to move in to the peony ribbon. Okay, it's back. We're going to do the same thing here. All right, I also like to alternate where I start my tails. It just, in my opinion, helps the bow look a little better. But on this one, I am going to start on this side because I want the peony facing out. So I'm going to line the edge of my ribbon up with peg number 2 on the left here. I'm going to pinch. Okay, it's not an exact science either. If you leave your tail a little longer or shorter, it will be okay. I just want these tails to function as kind of like extra loops, so that's why I'm making them that length. Okay, so you're going to put it behind the peg, tightly do one up and one down, and as you can see as you go, this wire here is going to start making its way down. That's why it's really important that you leave one little tail up so that you can pull it out later. Okay, now you're going to take your ribbon, you're going to go around this bow here, or wow, around this peg here. Okay, I like to pull mine really tight. You don't have to do that, but that's what I like to do. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to twist it so that the pretty side of my ribbon is out. I'm going to go over the tail of the ribbon, and I'm going to put that in. Now the tail is gonna mush down. It's gonna look a little funny. It'll be okay. You can fix it when you fluff your bow. So then you're gonna pull that wire tight one more time. Tight, 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 and turn it one up and one down. Then, because for this one, I only want to do one loop of the peony ribbon, I'm going to snip that off when it's even with the peg. Okay. Next, I want to go back to the cream because, again, I'm only using 2 ribbons for this. I considered using a pink and a green, but I didn't really care for the color palette. So, here we are. All right. Same deal, okay? Except on this one, I do have a ribbon stand that came with this, but I'm only using 2 ribbons, so I don't think it's necessary. So on this one, I'm going to do the same thing, but remember when I talked about alternating the tails, I'm going to start the tail over here. Okay, I'm going to start, and on this one, I'm going to do 1 loop of the cream. I'm going to come back with 2 loops of the peony, 1 loop of the cream, I think, and then 2 loops of the peony again. You can really do it however you want. It just depends on the look that you're going for. That's really it. But because I have 2 loops of the... Actually... We'll have to look and see. I might want the center of my bow. I like to start and end with 2 loops, basically. But but I don't know if I might want 2 loops in the middle too. Gonna have to look and see what I think. Okay, so I've gone around peg number 3, I've pinched and twisted, but I have not wrapped my wire, so I'm gonna wrap my wire now. And remember, the twist in the ribbon is to keep the pretty side out, so it's really critical that you do that. This one's a little bit hard to tell, but I can see the wire there, so I'm gonna give it a hard twist. And I'm going to cut my tail off adjacent to peg 3L. Okay, again, you can see here this tail ended up a little bit longer than the cream colored tail. It's going to be okay. There's no need to stress yourself out over it. Now I'm going to use the Peony ribbon again. Same thing. So I'm going to put my tail in over here, and I'm going to make it flush with peg number 4. I'm going to pinch the ribbon. Actually, I just really want to do it this way. So it will be upside down, but after we fluff everything out, we can always turn the tails. That is no big deal. Or we can turn the whole bow, because it's going to be in the center and the tails are even. So when you have a design like that, you can sort of turn it to suit your needs, which is one of the reasons why I like this design. Because otherwise you have to either cut a separate tail or double turn your bow, which is fine, but it also adds a lot of bulk. Okay. So here we go. We're going to put this ribbon on over here. Somehow it's still backwards. All right. Sometimes your ribbon will pull up on your pegs. It's okay. Then turn. Put your holy moly, am I having trouble today. Put your ribbon around the peg. Put this here. Push. And then you're going to pinch and twist again. I'm going to take this off. I am going to do 2 loops of the peony right here. And then you're going to pinch and twist. This ribbon reminds me so much of my grandmother. She loved pink. Pink was her favorite color, and she always had the most gorgeous flower garden you could ever imagine in your, and the pink peonies and the muted colors, the whole thing just reminds me of her living room so much. And even though she's gone, I really feel this for Mother's Day, just because it was something that she would have loved. Okay. So now we're even with peg 4L again. We've pinched and twisted, and we have 4 loops of the peony, 2 on each side. So we're going to cut that off. And I'm going to do the cream. I'm actually going to cheat a little with this bow too, and I'm going to show you a little hack for some other stuff. Okay, so now we're going to do 5 on the right. Start our tail over there, and I'm going to push it up against that, and as you can see down the center, our bow is getting quite large. So we're gonna take it and just pinch it against the center peg as tight as we can. Okay, and don't worry, it will be looking like a hot mess. It's a-okay. So I'm gonna put the cream back up there. I'm gonna put the cream around, and we're on peg number 5 now. We are almost done. We are cruising. And even if I'm not using the wire each time, I am definitely pinching each time, okay? And definitely twisting each time, because if you don't do that, you're going to be sad because your bow's going to come apart and also look very strange. Once it gets on the peg and you've got the wire around it, if you need to pull it tighter before you twist it, you can certainly do that. Now I'm going to twist it towards the front. Okay. Gonna come in with the peony one more time. Just gonna do one last loop. Woo! That got away from me. And now we're adjacent to peg 5, but we're gonna wrap on peg 6. So I'm gonna make that tail just as long as peg 6. Okay, I've pinched down. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it is a fight with the Pro Bow. I am not gonna lie to you. But if you can get it to do what you want, you will end up with a beautiful bow and a beautiful wreath. That fight though, maybe yours is different, but my Pro Bow's got a lot of fight in it. Okay, so I'm twisting here, and if you don't get what you think is a good enough twist, that's okay. You can always fix the twist once the wire is around it, but you do want to make sure that it's a complete twist, because if it gets off somewhere in the middle of the bow, you can see how much material is there. It'll be very difficult to fix. And you are gonna smush a lot of this down. It's just, for me, it's a little bit easier if you smush as you go, because if you get too much bulk, things get out of control really fast. Okay, so then you're gonna cut your ribbon even with peg 6. And the twists are going to get a little funny just because the loops are big and it's on they're just going to be a little funny towards the bottom of the bow, but it's okay, it'll all work out. Okay, so now I want to finish with a cream, okay? Just to add a little contrast to the bottom of my bow, but I'm out of pegs, so I'm going to take this off and this off. I normally like to finish with 4 loops, but I'm not going to do that here, only because this bow has a lot of bulk anyway, and I just 4 I think is going to make it too. I just don't like the way it's gonna look. Okay, so I can tell I'm really far out with the tail on the bottom, so I'm just going to pull from the roll end. It's not as tight as I want. Like I said, towards the bottom, things do get a little loosey-goosey. Okay, just do your best. It'll all work out. But that being said, if there's something that you can fix as you're going, go ahead and do that, because it'll save you a lot of time in the long run. Okay. Twist it tight. One more. Go around the edge. Pinch it. Twist it. Here I've got the weird twist there. Okay. Oh, see? It happens to everybody. I put that whole ribbon in backwards. I was not paying enough attention, and I did not put it in the right way. It happens. It's no big deal. You just take it out. Okay. Thankfully, it was just the one, I hope. Also, if you do find that you've put a ribbon inside out, you can fix it. It is a project, but if it's in the center of your bow, you can flip the ribbon inside out usually. Just go slow and make sure your bow is secure before you try to do that. If you don't, you will be sad. Okay, so I've got my last loop on there. I've twisted it. I'm gonna cut it even with peg 6. And now we are on our way to having a finished bow. Okay, so you're gonna undo your ribbon from this peg, this center peg here, and you are gonna take it and you are gonna pull it as tight as you can, okay? Tight, tight, tight. Use your fingers to squish it, and you're gonna twist it once down here at the bottom, okay? Now, you are gonna take the second ribbon, or the second wire that's underneath, that's around the nail, and you're gonna take that, and you're gonna pull that one. Make sure the top wire gets in the center, okay? You're gonna take the bottom wire and you are gonna twist it as hard as you can around the other bundles, okay? Smush your ribbons down. Make sure that is tight, okay? Twist it a few times. Take your bow off of the Pro Bow, all right? Now you have this fan-shaped monstrosity. You have ribbons or tails on the bottom, and all your ribbon is at the top. Grab your ribbon, smush it down, and twist your bow a few good times, okay? You do not want it to come loose. It will ruin your afternoon. Now we're going to fluff the bow. There are a couple of ways that you can do this. I prefer to use a fluff box. I normally fluff my bows on the bow maker. That just doesn't work well for a pro bow of the hand, so I use a fluff box. It's a very heavy piece of wood. This came with my pro bow, but honestly, you could probably make one yourself if you have a heavy piece of wood and you're willing to hammer a nail in one end and put an eye hook in the center. I think that's what they're called. They look like question marks. Screw that into the center and you've got yourself a fluff box. Now, separate your pieces of wire. Wrap one, I always pick the longest one, around the little eye hook. Ooh, that did not go well. So you're going to go underneath the question mark part and wrap it around once to hold it in place. Okay, then you're going to take the rest of them and wrap them around the nail. The tail end of that's not around the nail, you're going to bend down and put under the fluff box. This will help your bow stay in place while you make it pretty. So as I said, I like to use my tails as extra loops. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tails and I'm going to pull them out to the side, leaving my bottom loop right where it is. But I am going to take the time, if it's twisted funny, it doesn't look right, whatever, that's my time to fix it, okay? Same thing with the second row. I'm going to take the tail and pull it to one side, and I'm going to take the loop and pull it to the opposite side. So I'm going to go opposite of the center here, just like that. Okay, part of the way that you get big, beautiful bows is fluffing. You work out any wrinkles, any kinks near the center, and you always fluff your bow by pulling your loops opposite each other. So tail here, loop here. On this side, loop here, tail here. Once you put your bow together, if your loops end up the wrong way, the pattern is the wrong way, we'll fix it at that time, okay? Then you're gonna do the same thing here. You're gonna pull your loop one way and your tail another. Fix any dents you have or kinks or what have you in the loop so that it can be pretty. So then I pulled my tail, so this one I need to pull it. And you pull on those, your bow is all nice and secure now. Okay, so you pull on those as hard as you need to get them to do what you would like. Now that tail, I'm gonna pull there. This one is a little bit different because it has two loops. So I'm gonna put the tails like this. Then I'm gonna take the loops and separate them like so. And you can see how hard I pulled on them. That really is what separates your bow from lesser bows, okay? Fluffing is key. Now you're going to take this one and you're going to go the opposite direction of what you just did. So whichever bow or whichever loop you pulled to the right or to the left on this side, you're going to pull to the right on this side. And whichever loop you pulled to the right on this side, you're going to pull to the left on this side. Now here again, we're going to do right and left. And right here you can kind of see there's a funny little divot. This is your time to fix it. So you go in as close as you can. You can shake it. You can twist it with your hand. Whatever you need to do to get it right and tight. Okay? Same thing here. You can see the ribbon is not even, that's just because the twist is funny. Right and tight. It does get harder to fluff once you've got something in place, but it is by no means impossible. So if you move something you don't like where it is, you just get in there and show it who's boss. Sometimes you have to sweet talk it a little bit. That's okay. We all do. Okay. Now this one, you can see I have my tails separate. I'm going to take my loops this way. This one is funny, honey. All right, there we go. Going to take my loops this way. These loops are going this way. And ta-da! We have a bow. Now you may get where you're looking at it and you're just thinking, well, that's not what I envisioned. You just pull it until your vision comes to life. Like here, I think this really needs some cream there. There we go. All right. Once you've got it the way you like it, once you have it the way you like it, all you have to do is take your wires, and first you're gonna remove them from the bottom of your fluff box. Okay, so lift the base up, then you're gonna undo them from the nail side, then you're gonna slide it out from the eye hook. Okay, and this is what the bow is looking like now. And it's still a little bit of a hot mess, but trust the process. Okay, trust the process. Now it's bow time. So I like to look for which way I want my wreath to lay. I want my wreath to have 2 ribbons on the top and 2 ribbons on the bottom. So you just kind of turn it. Actually, I need that to be towards the top. I had one piece of mesh that was a little bit shorter, there we go, than the others, so I kind of want to hide that. Okay, so you look until you see what you want. Now on these, I find it easiest to just do 2 ribbons where they're put it even with the split. Okay, so where the 2 ribbons split and there's 1 ribbon on each side, that's my center. Then I'm going to take the bow and I'm sort of going to flip it around until I see a pattern or a center that I'm happy with. And I actually already like the way it is here. So I'm going to take the wire that's underneath and I'm going to take the 2 longest wires because that's going to be the easiest. If you need a 3rd wire, you can do so, but I'm going to take the 2 longest wires on the bottom of the bow and I'm going to secure them to the frame, making sure as I go that the bow remains in the center. Now this bow is gigantic relative to the size of the wreath, so it is going to be fairly easy to center because there's not going to be a lot left on any side of it, okay? So I'm just going to thread it down through the gap in the mesh until I find the frame. I prefer to use a crossbar. The crossbars are few and far between on these mini frames, so sometimes you have to make do with what you got. Okay. Then I'm going to grab each tail of wire. Make sure when you put it in, you go between two bars so that you have something to attach this to, okay? I'm going to go between. You might have to grab it and center it a little bit. What's going on? Oh. Caught on the mesh, of course. Okay. Now, I like to make it so that my tail is facing directly up and down. That helps me keep everything centered. Then I'm going to go back below, grab my bow tail, which has disappeared. It's on walkabout right now. Okay, which has disappeared. And I will secure both of those to the frame. Now, before I fully secure it, I just want to make sure that everything is where I want it. Because once you tie it down, it becomes more difficult to move, right? That's the purpose of tying it down. And if you have something that gets a little bit out of place, you can probably fix it, but like the big things you should definitely fix before you tie it, okay? Now I'm going to pull down, and until the wreath is fully finished, I'm just going to secure it with one turn, just to make sure that after I fluff the bow and cut the tails that I like where it's at. Okay, so you're gonna do one on top and one on the bottom, and that should be more than enough to hold this in place. So you're just gonna wrap it around. At the end, I will go between the crossbars, wrap it, and cut everything nice and neat. But for now, you can see I've placed one wire here and one wire here, and that is only to help while I am getting everything else situated, okay? Now, let's deal with a couple of other things. So, that's not tight enough. It's gonna move around. You don't want it to sink into the mesh, but you don't want it to be loosey-goosey either. Loosey-goosey is not your friend. Too tight is not your friend. Just right, that's where the sweet spot is. Sort of like the three bears. And it can take practice and patience. Don't worry, you will get frustrated because you will try and try and try again, and it still will not do what you want. I don't know if you've ever seen those shirts that say good moms say bad words. I think we should have one that says good wreath makers say bad words, because nothing will make you say worse words than trying to attach a sign or a bow evenly and having it not end up where you want it or tight enough, and you have to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. Okay. I think we've got it. Now, let's deal with a few like bow housekeeping things, okay? First of all, on some of these, my print is upside down. I knew that was gonna happen. You can see it right here. Right here. It's because it's a directional print. There is an easy fix for that, okay? You grab your loop at the top and you're gonna twist it around until it's where you want it. You do have to work it a little bit, but I find that on this bow, it's way easier to work it after your bow is in place than it is on the bow maker. On other bows, I just double twist on the bow maker and I have it then, but for some reason on the Pro Bow, it just doesn't work very well, and I've never got one doing it on the bow maker that I liked. Also, sometimes it turns out fine. The print direction doesn't matter, and the way you place the bow makes it look even or what have you. So it's fine, but on this one I just need to turn it, and I'm going to turn all of them before I go back and fix my other ribbons. Whoo, guys, I am sweating. You probably are thinking, why does she keep telling us that? Just in case you happen to catch a glimpse of my face and think, oh my word. Then you just fluff them back into place. Making sure to get that nice crisp turn. Okay. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If for some reason it just doesn't look right, you can glue it. It will be okay. If for some reason it just won't turn, because you do get a ribbon occasionally that just is not interested in playing the same games as the rest of us. When those ribbons come around, you just hit it with a little glue. Everything will be okay. All right, so now that we've fluffed, things are looking beautiful again. The next thing we have to take care of is the tails. So we're going to do the same thing. Now, the length of the tails is at your discretion. You're just going to grab them and dovetail them as you see fit. If there are some that end up really long, I'll cut those down a little more. But for the most part, they'll remain close to their original length. There's always a chance, right? And it really is just a grab. Just make sure that you fold your ribbon towards the wired side and then cut up towards the wired seam. Okay, it doesn't matter if you fold the ribbon up together or down together. But if you hold that side up, hold the seam side up. That's what's important. Hold the seam side towards the top and cut. That's too long. And again, this is just based on personal preference. Some people like really long tails, some people don't. I happen to like long tails on my bows on some spots and shorter on the other spots. I think it adds dimension, and I think it gives you something interesting to look at. There are people who want everything to be nice and even. That's cool too. Do it however it makes you feel good. Okay, now I'm going to hold it up for you, and we're going to embellish this a little bit. Just got to pull that a little more. Okay, here we go. Ready? Isn't that pretty? All right, now I'm gonna get my embellishments together and I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, so the glue gun is heating up. Let me show you guys what I have. I have some peonies. They came on a big bunch from Hobby Lobby. They look like this. They've got all sorts of juicy stuff in here. I went ahead and used the pink and the maroon because I like the contrast, and I used the like creamy peachy ones too. I had some leftover spring greenery from Michael's, so I used this one. Okay, then I had a few more of these from another project, so I threw those in, and I had some last little leaves from a bushel from Hobby Lobby, so I threw those in too. So I recommend using a glue pot for this. I did not do that because this is a do as I say, not as I do sort of situation, and I will end up burning myself. I will try to keep that PG for when it happens. So if you've never worked with flowers before, florals, there's two things, well, a couple things. First thing is you're gonna need to snip this stem. I just snipped it right off the bunch. I use these. They're about 1,000 years old. I think they were my dad's. I've had them since college. You just grab but you can buy them at Lowe's, Home Depot, or even Hobby Lobby. Okay, you see the stem right here. You're gonna take it, little hand pressure, and I like to start with one right in the center. You're gonna make sure your glue is nice and hot. Be comfortable with your glue gun, people, but don't burn yourself. You put a little glue on the stem there, and I like to start by putting one right in the center of the wreath. Adjust your bows around, or your loops around it, because once it's in there, that's where it's going to stay. Now, one of the secrets to an impactful wreath is layering. Okay, so I like to take my pipe cleaners. Glue sticks best to pipe cleaners. It does not stick well to mesh. I do see people glue to mesh. I do not recommend it, but if you're confident in it, you do you. Snip your stem again because you don't want to fight with it. Take your glue, apply it to your stem. This is why a glue pot is great, because you can stick it in the glue without having your fingers get near it. Okay? Now, where your pipe cleaner is, you're going to pull that out so you have something to stick this into, and you're going to set it right in there. As I said, the key is layers. So one of the things you're going to do next is you're going to layer on some greenery. I have this piece of possibly eucalyptus. I'm not real good with florals. You're going to add a little glue to the stem. Also mind the temperature of your glue. As it gets hotter, it can melt some of these plastic stems. You don't want that because it's hard. It's very hard to stick it in. Then you're going to go under the bottom of your peony and you're going to put that right in there. Now, these, you can see the hole in the bottom. They just pull right off the bush. So I don't spend too much time worrying about those. I chose to do sort of a alternating design because I want a little bit of variation in there. So on the top I did the pink, on the bottom I'm going to do the cream, and every other one I'm going to do some greenery. So in the greenery, you can see it right in here, okay? I am going to do 3 things. I'm going to layer. So I'm going to start with this. Remember, that's from my bush at Hobby Lobby. Go to Hobby Lobby when they're 50% off. Stock up. Then you can have all that you need. Layer the glue on the bottom there and stick it right in there where the pipe cleaner is. Get it good and tight. Now, in order to get the look I want, I'm going to do these next. I'm going to do them one at a time so I don't burn myself. I'm going to apply glue to the bottom here. Watch out, if it's going to drip, be sure it drips on your mat. Don't let it drip on your fingers. And I'm going to stick it right down where the pipe cleaner is. Same thing on this last one. Same deal, right in where the pipe cleaner is. I like to have at least one of my sides touching a pipe cleaner. That will really help secure it down. Then I have this last little piece. I like these because they have this long stem on the bottom. That helps get enough glue to get it nice and secure. When you're gluing things, security is the name of the game. And I'm going to stick that in my pipe cleaner as well. Get it in place where you want it. I like mine to look a little bit more on the natural side. And now you've got that all in there, okay? So here you can see the peony right here, okay? I've already cut my stem, and I have a piece, I was playing around a little bit, I have a piece underneath it. So I'm now going to take the stem, gonna add a liberal amount of glue. The flowers are easier because you're less likely to get it on your hands, but watch the drips. I do some on the back too because I'm going to put that right on the base of the pipe cleaner. I like to pre-cut mine so that I know that when I pop them in there, they're going to fit nice and secure the way I want them to. There are designers out there who are able to just go for it. They are not me. Now you're going to lift your peony up, watching for hot glue, and stick that eucalyptus, maybe your greenery, right down in there under the flower, but close to the pipe cleaner, okay? Now we're back to greenery right here. Let me see if I can pull this over and get you guys just a little bit of a better... Okay, it's up close and personal there, isn't it? Same deal here. Okay, I've got my little leaf. Now, as your glue gets hotter, you're going to want to work quicker because these leaves, the stem is thin, and when they get thin like that, they get harder to hold on to once the glue's on, okay? The thicker stems they're okay, but the thinner ones, right in that pipe cleaner, had that on the mesh. That won't work. Obviously, it's gonna touch the mesh. Sometimes that's okay, but you're really going for getting it where that pipe cleaner is. And my last little bit right there, right in here. Watching to make sure that you at no time touch the glue. It wasn't, but that felt like a close one. Okay, I got one more peony, one more greenery. We're gonna go to the bottom at that point, and then after that, we'll be done. So the peony is out. I don't know if you can see right here, there's a little piece of pipe cleaner. That's what I'm going for. That's gonna butt up against, cut the stem. That's gonna butt up against the bottom of the peony, and that's gonna help keep it in place. If you use the pre-made forms, which I like to do as well, I just made this one. I had one last frame left. If you use the pre-made forms, it works the same way with the ties in the forms. The forms will, the ties that the forms have will hold those. Oh, I forgot I'm out of glue. The ties that the forms have will hold that stuff nice and secure for you. And those are sometimes better because if you like the thick ones, it gives you a really wide surface area to work with. I have the fans on and the air conditioner, and I am still just, whew. My son and I have tickets to see Beauty and the Beast tonight. The homeschool theater group at our base is putting on a production, and I feel like it's so hot by the time we get there. I'm gonna be a hot mess. It's not fancy or anything, but you know, still. Okay. The last little bit on the top, we're gonna do greenery. And I don't know if I mentioned, I decided to alternate peonies and greenery. That'll give it just a lot for the eye to look at. And even though you can't see some of the greenery, like the little leaves and stuff, as you walk around the wreath, it's really going to give you something else to look at and draw the eye. And that's really what you need in a design where you get that's really what you need to draw your eye to the design. If you ever watch like some of the bigger names in wreathing, Amy from Babam Wreaths, Angel from Holiday Baubles, Candy from Candy's Creations, and you look at their really big over-the-top wreaths, and there's just like so much to look at, you can hardly focus, but it comes together so nicely. A lot of that is variation. If you look at how many different kinds of greenery they use and how many different flowers, that's what provides all of that interest that makes you want to look at it. So it's important to have that. Now, of course, all of those things are what make their wreaths so expensive. That and their time and talent. Remember, if you're buying or making, time and talent count for a lot, because the average person is not going to be able to just roll up off the street and make a wreath like that. It takes years of practice, training, classes, and people don't realize that. And that's why handmade items are so expensive. You're paying for not only the supplies, but for my knowledge and talent, just like you would anything else. Just like a plumber. I'm not a plumber. I can do it myself. Maybe I can't. Maybe it'll take me 6 times longer than a plumber, because plumbers have training, they go to school, they have experience, and I don't. So maybe I can do it myself, or maybe I can't. Same deal here. I had a lady once tell me, oh, well, I made one of those while I was pregnant while sitting on a bouncy ball. And then the other lady who was with her said, well, but did yours look like that? And she said, well, kind of, but not really. There were some, mine was a little more simple. And that's the benefit of time, talent, and experience. Also stylistic designs. If you want a simple wreath, that's fine. I'm probably not your gal though, because I like all the things in my wreaths, and that's fine. There are people out there who really want to design simple wreaths, and those people are your people. There's plenty of room in this world for everybody. So just remember that, and no matter what, kindness counts for more than anything. Just my little tidbit of the day. Okay, so now we're back to the peonies. I lost one over here when I was playing around with my design. Okay. Here we go. Uh-oh, I did that wrong. Okay. Cream peony, which I snipped off my bunch. Cutting a little more of that off. And smooth your leaves flat. It just helps it hold on better as best you can. It's not always possible, but if you can. Okay, next, we're going right in to the pipe cleaner. Now I'm going to take a leaf of eucalyptus right there on that little whoo. That was close. I felt a drip coming. Shove that right in there. Now we're back to the greenery bundle. So I'm going to take my leafy base, as I'm calling it, and I'm going to set it right in that pipe cleaner. My glue is getting too hot for those. Now we're going to do this one right on the bottom. I've just lifted up the pipe cleaner on that just to give it a little more to hang on to. And then I'm going to put my last piece in. sometimes after you've done this, it's a good idea to check and make sure that you remembered to glue all your pieces, in case you're a little bit like me and sometimes you get sidetracked and you don't do that. So we're going to cut, I think, our last peony. Get some glue around the base. I got distracted. I was talking, my son and I have tickets to Beauty and the Beast tonight. Our base homeschool group is doing it. My kids are not homeschooled, but the play is public. So we have tickets, and he's 6, and he's been really wanting to go to a play at the Kennedy Center or at Ford's Theater, and I just don't know if he's going to be able to sit through one of those. So this should be a good test to see, but I'm really excited. I would love it if he wanted to go see some of those things with me. It gets tough being a boy mom when your family doesn't have any interest in going to see those things and you live far away from your other family and friends. You just want to get out and do things. So I'd be thrilled if I could do that with him. So it looks like I counted wrong. I'm not surprised. That happens to me a lot. So I have one more to do. So I'm going to show you. I have this last one. I like to separate mine right where the 4 leaves are. So you can see in here. That there's 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves here. So right at the base of the 4 leaves, I will cut that in half. And I just get rid of that little top stem, and then I'm going to put some glue on the bottom here. And I'm going to smooth that out. And get it right in my pipe cleaners. And this is the last one, and then we're done. So this will be in my shop probably tomorrow. It's a little too late for me to take pictures tonight. Also, my kids I have to pick up my kids soon. If you're watching the replay, it should be available. If you purchase it today or tomorrow, it should arrive in time for Mother's Day, because I will send it out on Monday morning. So a good last minute gift for mom if you haven't purchased one, and if you want to make one, a great last minute gift for mom. Or I'll tell you what, if your mama is crafty too, this would be a great thing to make with her for Mother's Day. I would absolutely love doing that. My boys are a little young for it, but you guys can watch the video together and just get your craft on, and that's it. So I'm going to show this to you. Actually, hang on. I'm always changing my mind, but I kind of wonder about adding something to the top. Hold on, please. Hold, please. I used to work with a lady who yelled that all the time. Hold, please. But you never really knew what she was doing, so you never really knew what to hold or how long to hold it. Anyway. And you can put it in the top and the bottom if you feel like it. I might do that. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Okay. Whew. And I'm about to go take a shower, get my kids, go see Beauty and the Beast. Do you guys have any exciting plans tonight, this weekend? I hope so. It's supposed to rain here in the district. We might go to the Spy Museum. Pretty excited for that. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna leave it. I may add some greenery later. I just don't think, well, let me turn and look at it. I just don't think the greenery is adding what I want. So it's a no. So let me turn this towards y'all so you can see it. It's a great little gift for Mother's Day, craft for Mother's Day, what have you. And here we go. I'm going to back up a little bit so you guys can see it. Let's back up just a touch more. And it came out really nice and full for how big it is. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, a great next week. I'm going to try to have another video out soon. Until then, stay safe, stay kind, stay well.